Hi, for this video what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the parent function for an absolute value and what the graph of that would look like. So with this, the parent function is y equals the absolute value of x. And if you recall, x is called the independent variable because you're allowed to pick whatever values of x that you want, and y is the dependent variable. So with this, what we're always going to do when we're graphing an absolute value, if you're going to use a table to graph, you want to start at whatever makes it 0 inside of the absolute value. So I'm going to start at the point 0 here, and the reason I'm putting it in a special place is because this is going to be where your vertex is. Your vertex is always whatever makes it 0 inside of the absolute value. So that's your turning point. So with this, I'm going to pick 0, and then I'm going to pick 2 negative values for x, and I'm going to pick 2 positive values for x. And so remember that what we're doing is to figure out what our y coordinate is, we're going to plug it into the equation y equals the absolute value of x. So the absolute value of -2 is always 2. And this could be written as y, or it could be written as f of x, depending upon whether you're dealing with function notation or whether you're dealing with y equals notation. So we could also write this as f of x equals the absolute value of x. Those mean exactly the same thing. This notation is just nicer because it does actually tell us that when I plug in my x value, this is my output for that particular value. So if you need to know the coordinates, this format is nicer. The absolute value of -1 is +1. The absolute value of 0 is 0, because remember, absolute value is just distance from 0. 1 is 1 distance from 0, and 2 is also 2 points from 0. So if we graph all these points, basically all I'm doing is I have an ordered pair here. I'm not going to rewrite it for all of them, but so that you can see that my x coordinate is the first coordinate, my y is the second one. So at the point -2, y, my output is +2. At the point -1, my output is +1. 0, 1, 1. If you know what the parent function looks like, the reason we call it a parent function is because all graphs that are absolute value will be a V-shaped graph. Depending upon what's on the inside or the outside, or whether it's being multiplied, that will have an impact on the absolute value, the location of it, and also how wide or narrow it is. But the parent function is always the same. So if you know the parent function and you know how transformations work, you can graph any absolute value equation easily. As always, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know.